Democratic debate number 3. 10 candidates sharing the same stage tonight. And for the first time,
I know that the senator says she's for Bernie. Well, I'm for Barack.
I know what's broken. I know how to fix it.
I, who wrote the damn bill, if I may say so.
And those fighting for a breakout moment.
Hey, Joe, instead of saying no, we can't, let's say yes, we can.
Let's be constitutional.
Are you forgetting what you said 2 minutes ago?
Hell yes, we're going to take your AR-15, your AK-47. We're not going to allow it to be used against our fellow Americans anymore.
MSNBC's live coverage of Decision 2020 continues right now. Welcome to MSNBC's special post-debate coverage. I'm Joy Reid, and we have a Texas-sized panel joining us to break down everything that happened at tonight's debate in Houston on the campus of Texas Southern University, the largest historically black university in the country. The top 10 candidates went head-to-head in the most anticipated matchup yet, and they didn't pull any punches. Starting with that 2x4 that former Obama HUD Secretary Leon Castro took to former Obama Vice President Joe Biden on health care.
Barack Obama's vision was not to leave 10 million people uncovered. He wanted every single person in this country covered. My plan would do that. Your plan would not.
They do not have to buy in. They do not have to buy in.
You just said that. You just said that 2 minutes ago. You just said 2 minutes ago that they would have to buy in. You said they would have to buy in.
If she qualifies
Are you forgetting what you said 2 minutes ago?
That accusation from Castro that Biden said Americans would, quote, have to buy into his health care plan has been fact-checked by NBC News, and it does appear to be incorrect. Here's what Biden actually said.
My health care plan does significantly cut the cost of it. The largest out-of-pocket payment you'll pay is $1,000. You'll be able to get into anyone who can't afford it gets automatically enrolled in the Medicare type option we have, et cetera. But guess what? Of the 160 million people who like their health care now, they can keep it. If they don't like it, they can leave.
And this is the first debate where frontrunner Joe Biden had come face-to-face with his closest rivals, progressives Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren. And their differences, well, they were on full display.
Let's be clear. I've actually never met anybody who likes their health insurance company. I've met people who like their doctors. I've met people who like their nurses. I've met people who like their pharmacists. I've met people who like their physical therapists. What they want is access to health care. And we just need to be clear about what Medicare for All is all about.
Let us be clear, Joe. In the United States of America, we are spending twice as much per capita on health care as the Canadians or any other major country on earth.
This is America.
Yeah, but Americans don't want to pay twice as much as other countries, and they guarantee health care to all people.
Joining me now is Chief Public Affairs Officer for MoveOn.org and MSNBC political analyst Karine Jean-Pierre, Democratic strategist and former director of paid media for Hillary for America, Joel Payne, columnist for the Daily Beast and MSNBC political analyst Jonathan Alter, MSNBC political analyst and Republican strategist Mike Murphy, and politics editor at TheRoot.com and MSNBC political contributor Jason Johnson. All right, I'm going to start with you, Jason, on that Leon Castro decision to come for Joe Biden. It was obviously a strategy. From your point of view, my political scientist friend, was it effective or did it lay an egg?
He had to do something, Joy. Like, I predicted that either Corey or Beto or Castro were going to do the John Kasich suicide pact. I'm just going to go for the front runner. I'm going to try and take him down because it's the only way he could bring attention to himself. I thought even more critical than him sort of saying, oh, Joe Biden, you're not covering enough people, is when he basically pulled a Highlander. There can be only one. I am the legacy of Barack Obama. I thought that was a really bold statement. But what it does is it tries to get people to focus on, okay, what does Julian Castro actually represent? We know what Joe Biden represents. We know what Harris represents. He did a good job of putting the focus on him. Will it eventually move the numbers? No, because I don't think he hurt Joe Biden enough. But it did show that he's actually still fighting in this race, and he's not just going to allow himself to sort of disappear off into the sunset with the rest of the bottom-tier candidates who've been really struggling.
Yeah, let's play that moment that you just referenced. This is Julian Castro talking about which of these two, and they're both from the Obama administration, was really the Obama legacy candidate. Here they are.
You require them to opt in, and I would not require them to opt in. They would automatically be enrolled. I'm fulfilling the legacy of Barack Obama, and you're not.
Yeah, so Jason, I wonder if, President Obama actually had a much better debate tonight. Everyone kind of figured out that they really ought to love on the former president rather than criticize him, and everybody did a lot of that. But is that fight over who really represents the Obama legacy, is that a relevant fight, do you think, to Democratic-based voters?
It is at this particular point if you're Castro, because he has nothing else to say that he's doing, right? He's not the most dynamic. He's not the most interesting. He's not somebody who has a story that's any more compelling than Mayor Pete or Cory Booker or anybody else. He's got to say, look, I am the guy who can carry this sort of hope and change and diversity moving forward. So I thought it was an effective strategy for him. But at the end of the day, Joy, and I think this is the critical thing to remember, you had two sets of requirements going into this debate. You had your Cory Bookers, your Pete Buttigieg, your Castros and your Betos who were like, hey, I'm still here. Pay attention to me. Then you had your top-tier candidates who was Joe Biden, Warren, and Bernie Sanders who were like, look, I can prove I'm electable. And Senator Harris trying to figure out what she was going to do in the middle, which is why she basically said, I'm moving past this debate and I'm already going to start running against Donald Trump. So for the different tiers, I thought Castro did a good job. Whether it's going to move him into the Harris territory or let alone the top tier, I don't think that's going to happen after this debate.
Let me come to the table here, because I do have an Obama legacy candidate here. I have an Obama campaign and Obama administration veteran here. Obviously, President Obama is enormously popular throughout the country, enormously popular with Democratic-based voters. Should candidates be fighting over his legacy in a Democratic debate?
Well, I think the reason why Castro did it, pretty much what Jason just said, is because he needed something to do, right? You got to remember, Castro, the name ID is not there. People don't really know who he is. And I think it was an opportunity to say, hey, look at me. I was also part of the Obama administration, and here's what I'm doing. So I think that's what that was. I don't think there was really anything else there except to say, you're not the only one. Look at me. Yeah. I'm also part of that Obama administration. But I have to tell you, I think that part was interesting, and I was like, okay, good for him. But the attack on Joe Biden and that kind of that ageism thing, that's going. We saw Eric Swalwell do that in the first debate, and look where he ended up. And I think that was not a smart move. And the thing about Castro, I actually do think he's brought in some really substantive kind of conversation, especially on immigration, talking about racial issues. But that moment, I think it's going to hurt him.
Let's play what Anita Dunn. And if those who don't remember Anita Dunn, I'm going to age myself by saying I do remember who Anita Dunn is. She's a veteran Politico.
We do too. I do too.
Yeah, well, baby, you don't remember her. But he just says, I appreciate you joining in with me in the solidarity. And saying this is her criticism of that moment to that very point.
Do you think Secretary Castro intentionally landed a low blow there in terms of raising his forgetfulness?
Well, I think Secretary Castro, who likes to talk about learning from history, clearly didn't learn from the first two debates that, taking personal cheap shots at Vice President Biden actually doesn't work out that well for the candidate who throws that shot, and particularly because it was factually inaccurate. I think many reporters in the course of the debate have already pointed out that what Castro said simply was not true.
Let me go to Joel, who you've worked with the Hillary campaign. Do you think that kind of a shot at, you have to eventually try to combat the front runner, but did that shot, in your view, seem too cheap?
Might be a case of good strategy but poor execution. I agree with what Jason and Karine are saying, that Secretary Castro needed to do something. I don't know if that was quite it. Here's the problem. He essentially kind of almost created a shield around Joe Biden, I think, for the rest of the debate, because he set the parameters so aggressively on what he said about, you know, Biden and his forgetfulness and some of the gaffe-prone things that he's done on the trail, that he almost, in a way, gave Biden a pass for the rest of the debate. So I think it kind of protected Biden from any other attacks in the debate. So in a way, it kind of backfired on Castro, and it kind of worked in Joe Biden's favor.
Let me play Mayor Pete Buttigieg basically saying enough, you know, of pox in all their houses, everybody fighting with each other. Here's Pete Buttigieg.
This is why presidential debates are becoming unwatchable. This reminds everybody of what they cannot stand about Washington. Scoring points against each other, poking at each other, and telling each other that you're my plan, your plan. Look, we all
that's called a Democratic primary election.
That's
called an election. That's an election. You know, this is what we're here for. It's an election.
Yeah, but a house divided cannot stand.
Mike, let me go to you. Mike's at a disadvantage, not with us. You're in Los Angeles. You know, I wonder from the point of view of Republicans who are looking at this, potentially never Trump Republicans who are shopping for a candidate. In a sense, is Joe Biden helped by having other people attack him and appearing, in that sense, to be sympathetic as the victim of said attacks?
No, I don't think it's a calculation for never Trump Republicans. Look, Castro made history tonight. He came in with a dying presidential campaign at 1%, not really much of a factor. He managed to do this Evel Knievel strategy and not only blow that up, I think he blew up his vice presidential chances. Because Joe Biden is the front runner. He's a weak front runner, but he is the most popular single candidate in the Democratic Party, and calling him senile on national TV was a cheap shot. And it is the second time Castro's done something that actually, you can argue, helps Donald Trump. In the first debate, he pinned everybody down on decriminalizing border crossings. All those hands went up, and Republicans in the Trump campaign were all writing that down, grabbing that video for ads later. So Castro, I think, wins the not helping award tonight, and I don't think he got notoriety, but the wrong kind. My guess is he won't make it till Christmas in the Democratic primary.
Jonathan Alter, the same question to you, because the thing about Joe Biden is that if you're going to launch an attack against the front runner, I said earlier when I was on that you have to keep in mind how other people feel about the front runner. People generally like Joe Biden. Yeah. So it's a difficult pincer move you have to make to combat what he's saying or to try to eat into his lead, but still keep in mind that he's generally liked by Democratic voters.
It was just a stupid thing for him to do. And I agree with Mike. I think he blew his chance to be vice president. You know, Democrats don't want that kind of thing this year. They just don't. And it's almost like they're where Republicans were when Ronald Reagan said, you know, the 11th commandment, don't attack other Republicans. You can go after each other on policy. They want a vigorous debate on the future of the country. But once you make it personal, you electrocute yourself.
Yeah, and the difficulty isn't going on an attack that seems ageist is more than one person is in Joe Biden's age group. Like, he's not alone in that age group.
But it's not just age. It's you know, anything that feels personal.
Yeah.
Democrats want to be united this time. They don't want their differences exploited by the Republicans. No. And if you get out there doing something that you know, everybody's a pundit now. So everybody watching is kind of wondering, are the Republicans going to be able to turn this into a talking point?
Right.
And they don't want candidates who do that.
Well, you know who I think was very, very focused on one candidate and one opponent and one opponent only, that being Donald Trump, was Kamala Harris. So I think in that sense, I think she was looking forward to that. Yeah. Coming up, the candidates take on gun control and Mitch McConnell.
We got to send a message to Mitch McConnell. We can't wait until one of us gets in the White House. We have to pass those bills right now to get this done.
Senator
because we cannot spare another innocent life.